Go. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to Table Talk RPG, where we talk about tabletop games. Whenever we feel like it. And it's we have a very, very, very special episode. But before that, I am your host. I'm Ghost, and I have to my wait this way. Yeah. I have my co-host.
I don't know because I can't see that we're online. But I know
What?
that there's a slight delay, so just
Yes,
give it a
there is.
second.
There is. There's
It
a
still
slight
says
delay.
offline. I'm just
What?
wait.
I see us online.
Oh, so it's your internet then.
There it goes. Okay, I'm gonna mute you in here real quick. Just keep talking.
Okay, all right. So, like I said, so I'm Ghost. I have here to my left, I guess, the screen, right? My co-host, Savvy. If you want to say something to the folks at home.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was making sure that we could hear you on Twitch. Hi, I'm Savvy. I am also a GM,
Okay.
and I am excited to be here.
All right.
And yeah,
So we're both excited, right? This is an awesome episode. This is,
cheers.
this is a great episode. So for Table Talk RPG, our first host or our first guest of the show, it is RP, or how his name is pronounced. He's the creator of the Fari.app, which is an awesome tool to use for tabletop games, especially for Fate. But as of a possible new release, it's gonna be able to be used for other games. So
Well,
um,
right now, RP, isn't it currently technically able to be used for like simple dice rolling, like using different up to D20?
yes, yes, okay. So
Yeah.
RP, we
So,
are going to ask you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself, like your RPG story, where you're from, if you want to do that, that kind of stuff. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. That's like super exciting. So I'm as excited as you guys. Though sadly, I'm only drinking water right now. So like,
It's all
we'll see
right.
where.
Don't worry about it. Just put a little bit of something in it. It's fine.
Yeah, that's
just pretend. Just
Yeah.
pretend.
just
Yeah.
pretend. Yeah, so you can call me RP. A lot of people know me as RP, but my name is pronounced René Pierre. I'm French Canadian, so I live in Canada, inside the Quebec province. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I
Okay.
thought you were
so
in France.
no.
Hey,
I
that is
told I
not.
told Ghost, I was like, I don't know if he'll be able to do the show. He might have to get up really early or stay up really late. And he's
So
like,
I.
he's in North America. I was like,
Oh,
Yeah,
so
oh,
well, at least
I'm in
okay.
Eastern
Northern.
time. Yeah, I was like, okay, all right, North America. This, yeah. I'm like, I don't know, but yeah, it's fine. It's not a wrong assumption to make, right? I would say.
No, it's totally fair. Totally fair. There's a
Okay.
lot more French speaker in France also, so that's totally fair. But yeah, though René Pierre is not a very common name in France. Well,
Okay.
it's not a common name in Quebec as well, so it's just an uncommon name. But yeah, I'm like you said, I'm a developer of an application called Fari.app,
Mhm.
which helps people play tabletop RPGs online like pretty easily. It's not really focused on things like maps and grids and things like that. It's mostly focused on like trying to mimic the experience of having a table and taking like sheets of paper, writing on
Mhm.
it, and putting them on the table, right? Things like that. Um, Apart from that, like quickly, like I only started playing tabletop RPGs. I think like a year and a half ago. I
Oh
was like,
Me
wow! Oh my
too.
God! Oh my God! Hey, that's if if it shows if what this hobby shows is that people like savvy like you that been doing this for only like a year and a half or something, right? That shows how great this hobby is of like bringing people together and just inspiring people, because I'm pretty sure whatever you played, right, it inspired you to create this app. So what did you play? Like, how did you get into RPGs?
well, like my first ever introduction to RPGs, I think, was a game of Dungeons and Dragons. I guess it was 3.5, but I'm actually not sure. I played when I was in high school, and I did one session, created my character, and then I was with some friends, and when I like it was like a school organized thing, and one of the guy that was there, he was like, "Hey, can I take like RP and tie him up and push him inside the skeletons. And the GM was like, yeah, you can do that.
uh,
So he
yeah,
rolled,
yeah.
and he pushed me, and my character died, and that was my first ever introduction to tabletop
Wow.
RPGs.
He
Okay.
encouraged PvP.
Yeah, he did, and he let me die. And I just like, okay, I'm done. I don't like this. If this is it, I don't like this.
I
That
do
is
not
that is
blame
that
you.
is
That
that yeah
sucks.
yeah I can't blame you, right. Hey, we all have our different, different introductions. I started with fourth edition about I would say about 8.5, almost 9 years ago now.
When
So
did it came out? Fourth edition.
I I don't remember, honestly, to be honest. I don't. I never I played. I just I got in with some friends and they said, "Hey, you want to play with us? We need a player." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And I did, and then I was hooked. I mean, coming from a video game background, fourth edition was the best at the time, right? Because that's all it was. Fourth edition, it was literally like a video game. It was playing Diablo with like minis and maps. Um, but yeah, so anyway, I'm sorry to cut you off. Just go ahead, keep going.
No,
I
not at
started I
all.
started in Pathfinder 1. So that was fun.
Yeah, and then you went to two, right? Didn't you go to two?
And then I went to 2, and then I left Pathfinder after I
Yeah,
found PBTA and Cortex.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. Okay, so we are here to talk about your Fari app, right? I know you mentioned a little bit about it, but what are some what would you say are the main features of the app, right? If somebody would sit down, opened up the link to the Fari app, and
Which is
actually,
Fari, Fari.app, if you want to
yes,
go check it
yes,
out.
Yeah.
yeah, you want to go check it out. Actually, can you put the link in the chat?
Yeah, I can do
I'll just
that.
have it, yeah. And so if somebody was saying, hey, how do I like what are the main features of Fari? Like I know it has a lot. There's a lot of them, but what would be your selling points or features, I guess. You know.
Well, like I've been trying to think about this because I'm currently redesigning the homepage so that it's a little bit clearer on like what the application actually
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
does. Because right now it's not really. It's mostly like, hey, it's Fari, click to play, and it's like it's super vague. But I'm not a designer, right? So it took me some time. So
mm-hmm.
I was trying to come up with some good catchphrase of a good like elevator pitch for like what Fari is. And what I came up with is like play tabletop RPGs online without a headache.
Okay.
Because
That's always good.
when it is good because where I'm coming from is that so after playing with D&D, one of my friend he contacted me. He was like, "Hey, like I do you know about like tabletop RPGs?" I'm like, "Not really." He's like, I want to play a game of like Blades in the Dark." I'm like, "I don't know what that is, but that seems cool." So we went to a pub in Montreal in Quebec, and we played and we had a blast. And what one thing that was really cool is that it was all of us around the table with drinks and just like drawing on pieces of paper and telling interesting stories, right? And when you look at a lot of tools like Roll20s, like Roll20 or Foundry VTT, while they are very very powerful applications,
Mm-hmm,
they're
mm-hmm.
very focused towards
Yeah.
grids and maps and like Shadow of War and things like that, right? So which I was like, it can definitely help with some systems. Like
Yeah.
systems that are very map
Mm-hmm.
oriented, and that's totally fine. But things like Blades in the Dark, or eventually, like I started learning a little bit more about the Fate system, which is what I'm most familiar with nowadays,
Nice. Mm-hmm.
which are very like cinematic and story oriented. I was like, there isn't something right now that fits my needs, and I wanted to play with my friends. And then COVID-19 hit us pretty hard, so I was like,
Mm-hmm.
well, like I need a tool, and there isn't one available, so I'll try to create something for myself and my friends. That was like initially what like I this is how the app came to be initially, basically.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So basically, after COVID, that's when you started working on it, or did you start working on it beforehand and then just it took off when it happened, or no?
Yeah, I think I initially like the first ever version, you couldn't even play online. It was like a tool
Okay.
for GM. You could manage character sheets and scenes, but it was all offline. And then when COVID hit, I like basically scrapped all the code and rewrote it from
Oh wow.
scratch.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, I need to be able to play online with my friends. So then this is where the scene, like the scene management came on to be. So where
Okay.
you can start a game and then you can send a link to your friends and they just join in by entering their name, and then everyone's there. Everyone can roll dice. Everyone see like everyone's result, and the GM can add like little posted cards, index cards, and like add stuff in there. So that was the like second version of Fari, if you consider the first one being a thing, which wasn't like I published it on Reddit. Nobody really cared. It was fine. like I understood them. It was like
Okay, yeah, yeah,
it was a proof
yeah.
of concept more than anything else.
Yeah. So and as we see now, so we do have access. I mean, I have access to the beta. Well, I think you actually made it available for everybody now, right? The beta, or
I didn't send a link, but I posted it in some places. Like I'm not
yeah, yeah,
hiding it, but I'm not
yeah,
publicizing it.
yeah. So it's come up a long way from what you just described. It's come or a long, long way, and it's true what you said. There's the tools, Foundry uh, and Roll20, there's Astral, there's all these different tools you can use nowadays for GMs and players. Yes, they're very dedicated to a specific audience.
Yeah,
So
I found that I had bought Foundry in my Pathfinder days, especially like with our COVID
mhm.
going on. And I was like, oh, this will be perfect for when my group finally like gets together for our online stuff. And then they never did. And then it's just such a bulky software. And so it's nice to have an app that is running on the web. It's super lightweight and it's not taking up a bunch of
Mhm.
your like computer space to run because my computer can't run Foundry and Discord and the internet, and I had to like delete Adobe PDF and get a really lightweight PDF viewer in order to like view my PDFs
Okay.
while
Yeah.
running
Yeah.
Foundry. Anyways, totally off topic, but there are a lot of people out there that don't have really fancy computers to run
Yes.
all this stuff.
So and I think the barrier of entry is right there. It's like you said, it's free, right? It's that is one of the biggest thing, especially now, because there's so many virtual tabletops out there. A lot of people want to try them
Yeah.
before they want to put investment, either be financial investment or time investment, because you're investing time in creating, even if it's simple VTT, you're still creating time, because you got to create character sheets, you got to create
Yeah.
a templates, you got to create scenes, you got to create those kinds of things.
There's a learning
So
curve.
yeah, there is a learning curve to all of them, right? Be it Roll20, be it all the ones that we just mentioned. The learning curve is there, right? And if you might have people that are not technology savvy, right? They don't want to do that, right? They want to go back to writing, I I've done maps on like a piece of paper with like X's and O's. I've done that. I have done that with a little bit more of a tactical nature games. Um, but yeah, so I know Far is used for narrative games, more for narrative games, and so before you said that it was for Fate. It was designed for Fate, right? So what changes have you made in order to because right now, from what I see, you can actually probably play any type of game whatsoever, right? So, what kind of changes did you make that made it so far so people that are or players and GMs that are watching this now or in the future can say, hey, but how does that help me play my game in your tool? So
Yeah, well, I think it was like in January or February. I had like a Fate of Cthulhu game planned, and one of my player couldn't show up, so we're all with a bunch of friends. And I was currently listening to I don't know if you know about the podcast Dungeons and Daddies.
no, I
No.
don't actually. Huh.
Okay, it's a really funny podcast about a bunch of people who play D&D, but it's like mostly not D&D. It's just friends having fun basically.
Mm-hmm.
But they played a one shot of a game called The Witch is Dead by Grant Howitt, which is a very very nice
I've
game.
heard of
So
that. Yeah.
um, I listened to that episode, and then when my friend couldn't show up to our like regular session, I was like, well, like if we can't continue our campaign, do you all want to try this this game. So we're like, okay, sure. So when we played, we used Fari, but this game uses D10s, which Fari doesn't support. It supported, I think, at the time only like D100s and like Fate dice and things like that. So
Okay.
when we played this game, it was still fun, but it wasn't very optimized to play other games than Fate. So I went back to the drawing boards, if you can say that, and
Yep.
I worked on adding supports for more dice because like Fate dice are very fun, but not all games. Well, not a lot of games use them. Let's say it like that. So I added support for like for all the D20 natural like normal dice like D4, D6, D12, and whatnot. I added support for dice pool, which isn't something that Far supported at the beginning, but now the next version is going to support that. So you'll be able to like add dice to a pool and then roll everything together. Because in the past, when you roll dice, I was adding all the results together, but when you roll a pool, you don't really want to do that. You just want to
Yep.
list the result and you
Mm-hmm.
pick what you think is the best according to your system's rule, right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So those were some changes I had to make to support more games. Apart from that, well, mainly the big feature that is coming is the new character sheet, right? So the new sheet is gonna come with a bunch of new features because in the past, Fari was made for Fate, so it supported like checkboxes and text boxes and things like that. But I had to make the character sheet way more versatile to be able to support more games. So I was talking with one of my friend who is my current Dungeon and Dragon dungeon master, and I was like, okay, so what would I need to do to change the character sheet so that we could play, even if we don't want to play, we could play D&D with this. So talked a bit. I sent him like betas of the character sheets, and then he worked and he sent me feedback and whatnot. So eventually, the character sheet came out what it is to be now. Well, like what it is going to be when I release the next version, which is something that is basically a big playground where you can add any type of fields that you want.
Yeah.
So there, everything is considered basically a building block. That's how I call them. So you
Mm-hmm.
drag and drop building blocks
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. And it's like, I want text, I want checkboxes, I want a point counter, I want my point counter to
Yep.
have a max
Yep.
value. I want dice and skills and dice pools and all of that. So I made everything a building block, which was a lot of work because the initial sheet wasn't like that. And I had to migrate all the old data to the new format.
Mm-hmm.
But now all of that's done. I've been testing it for a couple of weeks. Everything are like things are stabilizing. So, but yeah, that's basically what I've I had to do to make the experience more flexible for other types of
Mm-hmm.
games. I think there's still more to do, but I think that's gonna help a lot.
Yeah. So that's actually that's pretty awesome. And I know we kind of talked to so me and Sam we kind of like sent you messages like, hey, this would be great if we could have a dice pool. We could have
Yeah.
it.
You've been
So.
great. You've been truly great, like in helping me in all of this because I don't know a lot about Cortex Prime, and you two know a lot about it, so that helped me a lot understand the different types of rules and how it
So
could make the character sheet more flexible for you two as well.
so yeah. So the way that I saw it was, if you can make it, if you can make it work with a system that's very unique, that is very different to the usual, the traditional narrative or non-narrative, then you can make it work for anything.
Yeah,
And when I look at the character sheet, that's what I see. You can make it work with anything. Why? Because Cortex has such a unique action resolution mechanic that not all games have. And so if you make it, then I can play World of Darkness, which is kind of this almost kind of the same thing. I can play not kind of the same thing, but it's dice pool as well. And was this Shadowrun? Yeah, you can play Shadowrun as well, right? Because it's also a dice pool mechanic. Okay, so and so once you have made it work for very specific games that require a specific rule set, then you can make it work for anything, right? To be
yeah,
honest, that's just my very personal opinion. Um, so, and you hit it on the head, when you say like, hey, I'm gonna make it with for D&D, right? Because D&D is the 400-pound gorilla. We're not gonna sugarcoat that. I love D&D for what it does, for what it represents, because it gets people into the hobby. It's the
yeah.
first people. A lot of the new people that come in, they associate D&D with the tabletop RPGs Let's be honest. That's what
Well,
happens.
there wasn't anything before it,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
they created a brand new type of
Hmm.
game, as far as I know. If I'm not sure if
Yeah,
No,
I'm
no,
yeah.
that's
okay.
There
totally
were,
right.
well,
Okay.
depends who you ask,
Well,
but
well, I think it. I mean, if we went into the history of RPGs, and it all started with like the minis, with the
the
war
miniature, the
games or
wargaming,
whatever,
yeah, yeah,
the
Oh,
wargaming,
okay.
yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
it went to the more D&D ish
Yeah, so
type
it
stuff.
was 1973 or
I'm
74.
not
I don't
I'm not
know.
old enough for
Somebody
that,
in the
so
chat can just yell at me and tell me what the real date is. Um, but yeah, but anyway, so yeah, so it is right when because you wanted to appeal to a lot of people, not just a very specific group, which is awesome. Um,
Yeah. And
yeah.
when you think about it, I'm pretty sure that like those tools have existed in other virtual tabletop platforms as well. Like Roll20 is probably has a fantastic character sheet builder that's hidden behind the scene, but that's available for game creators, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But like
and it's so slow.
it
It's
So
so
is.
slow. That's
yeah,
one
so
thing I love about Fari is because everything is cookie side. And so, like, it's only as fast as my own browser can take me. Like, there's nothing else bogging it down in the
yeah.
background.
Yeah, roll
Uh,
20 is just we've talked about it, and yeah, there are
I
some issues with
started
roll
in
20.
Roll20. I
Yeah, you
started
still.
in it.
Yeah, I
And
start.
then I went to
I've
Foundry.
I've been a member from roll 20 since 2013, so I
Wow.
have hundreds and hundreds of hours on roll 20. And yeah, it's gotten way better than it was, right? But we're not talking about roll 20. We're talking about roll
Yeah,
20.
we're not.
We're talking about yours.
I
So
wanted to say one thing. For people who are more like, obviously, Fari is not going to provide a map like type of game. That's not what it's for, right?
Mhm.
But you do have your, and it reminded me of this OSR that I played called Knave, and the dude like he had the Discord
Knave.
like roller bot, and then he was streaming his Paint program and showing us and drawing the map in that. You tell us about what you have integrated that we could kind of use that as the kind of thing if I understand it correctly.
Yeah, well, like
It's like,
I think a couple of months ago, someone on Reddit was like, "Hey, I would like to be able to draw stuff inside Fire so that like everyone can
Yeah, yeah, I
see.
can see it.
Like
Hmm.
when you want to draw like basic maps or shapes in Fate, we often refer those as zones. Like you draw zones and you say, "Oh, you're inside this zone, and you guys are inside this zone," or things like that.
Okay.
So I created like what I call the drawing area or doodle area or something, which is available for the GM, so the GM can like to draw some shapes or like some lines and draw character tokens and say, okay, I think you guys are there, and then you guys are over there, and this is like a house, and that like so you can like it's pretty much like a mini version of Paint. It's not super flexible. I actually need to get back to it and eventually like enhance it because I'm not satisfied with it. I want to make it better, but it does the job for now. It does like
oh yeah,
it fixes the original issue of like I would like to be able to draw stuff so that everyone can see it.
to visually show them where they're at, and that's about the extent to where I want to do maps anymore anyway, so
So, I'm gonna ask you a question. This is something that came up while Savi was saying.
I said I
Can
was
you?
going to present it, but I guess you can.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I can't because I would have to do a lot of stuff in the technical aspect of it, and then we're gonna have to wait for like 15 minutes because I'm slow. And I'm just not gonna show it. The link is there in the chat, so if people can scroll up
Oh
or.
no, I thought you were talking about Level Up Larian's question.
Oh no, I'm not gonna do that yet. No, I'm not gonna do that. I do have his
Oh,
question.
okay.
I did read his question. So we do have a question from the audience, but we're gonna get to that. I wanted to ask you, can we add images to Fari?
That's a great. Yeah, I was wondering the same thing. If we could like
So
upload little images.
Yeah. Is that something that you know or something in the future maybe? I don't know. I'm just asking
so
now. I'm curious.
fun fact, it's a hidden feature.
Oh,
Because
see that?
I
I'm going
I
over there right now.
I actually didn't know this feature existed. So FAR is not only free, it's also open source, which means that the code is freely
Yeah.
available on GitHub,
Right.
which means that people can contribute to it. And people have done like a wonderful job. Like there's someone who made my dice roller more fair. There's tons of people who translated the app in tons of languages. And people often create issues and bugs saying, hey, this doesn't work, or like, could you create this feature? And someone created a bug saying, hey, when I upload an image, it goes outside the boundaries of my index cards. I'm like, but you can't.
What? I didn't put that in there. What are you
What is
talking
this? What is
about?
this magic? What are you doing? You hacking my computer?
Yeah.
Is that what you're doing? Yeah.
So I went back. I tried copying an image inside my clipboard. Did like Control V, Command V, like right click paste inside the index card, and then the image was there. I was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't have to
Gonna
code any of
do
it.
it right now.
There you go.
So
Okay. All right. So we're having a live test right now. Okay. All right.
I'm going to just take an index card shaped photo.
Okay. So,
Copy.
so it is 8
so
features. So it's something that we can do, or at least try to do. Uh,
It
it,
works.
it does
yeah,
work.
and also
And it stays in the boundaries of the index card.
it does. I
Nice.
fixed that. And if you click on it on the last release, I added a full screen view. So if you click on it, it'll go full screen. So if
Oh,
you
there you
want to
go.
paste maps,
I
Awesome.
love it. That's so
That's
awesome. That
awesome.
will
That's
come in so much handy.
yeah.
If you
That's
can
awesome.
say that.
Yeah. And so much. What?
And so much handy. It'll come in handy so
Okay.
much.
Okay. All right. You know what? You know what? Take her her glass away. All
but
right.
that's what we're talking about, right? Learning curves. Like you need to know about it. So like I started working on a wiki so that those kind of features are a little bit more well known. But like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
kind of tricky to know
I
about.
would have
So
never thought
so
to try.
I have used I'm not gonna say the name of the VTT unless you ask me.
The
I will.
one. The
What?
one.
No, no,
The
no. This is
one.
another one. You never used
Oh,
this.
okay. Okay, okay.
Nobody has ever used this. Well, not nobody, but so there was a VTT that came up, and the idea behind the designer of the game that created the VTT was simplicity ever. There was no rules, no wiki. You literally had the VTT in front of you. You dropped the thing, an image, it would become a map, and then everything else you would drop in was a token. But there were no instructions on how to use it. There was no, and then you had the little dice at the bottom, right? A great VTT. It was awesome, but it was realized, I think, that people need a little bit of direction of like what to do with the tokens, how to make them do certain things, and blah blah blah. So I think there is what I mean with what by bringing this up is that even if it's simple, I think people still need a little bit of guidance. Not knocking that VTT, it's an awesome VTT because I used it a lot. It was awesome, but the but the simplicity still needs a little bit of explaining, right? Because people that use it, people that are going to use your tool, they're going to have different levels of experience with technology, with VTTs, with RPGs, and I think just yeah, what you're doing is great, creating a wiki. So just for the simple stuff, how to create scenes, how to create characters, how to do those things. So once you do it, so first time I used Fari, be honest, first time I used Fari's, I had no idea what I was doing. No idea. There was no wiki then because I used it when the first time I used it was when it was still for Fate, and because I was not playing Fate, I was like, okay, and I tried to like before you added all the features to create any type of character sheet,
Mhm.
I I tried to create a Cortex game, so it was probably a couple months ago, like probably around November, October time, and I
Okay.
was trying to create a Cortex game, and I was like, I can't. I wish I could do this. I wish I could do this. And I left it for a while, and then I was like, you know what? This is an awesome tool that I could actually use. And that's when I messaged you. I was like, hey, do you? I joined the server, and I became a Patreon. I was like, hey, I need to. Could this be added if possible? If not, then just ignore it. Um, and then I saw that you took our our suggestions, right? And you took them to heart and you created that, and that shows like your dedication to the server, like talking to people, responding to messages, that kind of stuff. That goes a long way with content creators, not just designers, not just GM player, whatever. So, but also VTT creators and the community and all that. That goes a long way. That shows that you care about the product, you care about what you're doing, um, and uh, and we appreciate it as players and GMs. We do appreciate
Yes.
what you're doing. We do appreciate the hard work
That's very
because we
true.
know it's hard work, right? It's not free because I know you're
Well,
using your.
I knew that coding was hard work because I've dabbled in the JavaScripts and the
Yeah,
all that jazz, and it's not for me.
Oh, well,
yeah,
you can
But
come and help me then.
oh, I mean, I can try. I've thought about looking into your source code. I'll have to look. I'm a
No.
super amateur, super ammy.
Yeah.
Um,
You
but
have Google.
I
You can become a master. You have Google.
Yeah, that's
that's
all
that's all
that's
they
all I do.
do.
That's all I
That's
do
all
all
they
day.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
yeah. But oh, I was gonna say, seeing your wiki update and going through that, I didn't read it all because I'm more of a click and find out what happens type person. So I just click around, try to play with it and see what happens. But whenever I first saw your wiki, I was like, oh my gosh, the amount of work this guy has to put into just writing this
I
documentation
know
is
it is. It
ridiculous.
is.
I'm like,
Um,
so I commend you because that looks very tedious.
so I have I in the past when I was a subscriber for Roll20, I used to create my own character sheets, and I was like, this is I appreciate them what they've done with Roll20, and then creating the ability for me to
Yeah.
write character sheets. That's just it's incredible, right? And it takes a lot of amount of work, and it shows. Uh, so we we have a question from the chat by Level Up Larian. It says, "What is the vision for the future of Fari in your mind? Like, let's say from like 5 years from now, maybe even 10 years from I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. So
Um, well, okay, it's 5 years from now. That's a big amount of time, but
Let's say
okay.
by the time that the world is back to normal,
well,
Yeah.
the new normal,
hopefully
whatever
next
that is,
year,
whatever
hopefully
that
like
is.
by next year.
Um, well, I think my main goals for like the future of the app is going to be around like continue building a community. This isn't something that's just for me anymore, right? It started like that, but it's not just for me. A bunch of people have been contributing to it either on the code or in translating the app or in providing very good feedback, opening issues and all of that. And I want to try to continue to build on that. I want everyone to be able to feel like Fari is not just like an app, it's their app, right? So I want to basically listen to what the community has to say. If they feel like Fari is not some parts of the apps aren't as good as they could be,
Hmm.
I think like things are going to be really focused around that. Apart from that, one on the shorter term, I want to go back to the scene screen. So I spent a lot of time on being able to host like documents inside the app and make them searchable. So all the Fate SRDs are
Okay.
available inside Fari. So which is the same technology I'm using also for my blog and my wiki inside Fari. But basically, I spend a lot of time on documentation now. Spend a lot of time on the character sheet. Now I want to go back to the scene screen and make it better. I've seen a lot of people in my Discord server who have been very vocal in a good way, saying, "Hey, it'd be cool to be able to group index cards together, kind of like taking a sheet of paper and
Yeah. Okay.
splitting it into multiple sections and
Okay.
grouping things together."
That's pretty cool.
Um, I also been tinkering with chat feature. So I have a very old code branch where there's a chat feature that works. I just never pulled it inside the production build because I wasn't happy about it. But I think that's something that could be very cool, like to be able to roll something and then the roll is like displayed as some sort of history inside a chat, a little bit like Roll20 does actually, right? And this is a very neat feature that they've built, right? Because people can chat and they can also include like their dice results directly inside the chat, and you
Yeah.
have this entire history available. So I think that's something that I think could be very cool as a nice addition to Fari. Apart from that, the drawing area, I want to make it better, but that's a lot of work. Because like
Yeah, yeah,
it's
I can assume
redoing paint,
so.
but
Yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, I those are like on the shorter terms. Then on the
Short
like
term.
longer terms, like I'm not sure. I guess like you all are gonna tell me, right? Like you're gonna tell me what you want, and then I'll see what I can do as usual.
So I know that this has been a little thing. I've seen it crop up a few times on your own server, and it's cropped up a tiny bit
Yeah.
here in our chat. Well, okay, not exactly. The potential of having this person, Gretro 450 says cloud saves. Like, I know that cookies, like some of us, we just got to clear that browser history. I don't. But some people do for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then there goes your Fari. If you forget to download it and then suddenly it's all gone. So what are some ideas that you might have? Because I know introducing a server means you might have to start charging for the program. Because where's the money gonna come from?
Yeah.
So what are your ideas in regards to your most preferable way of handling that?
Yeah, well, that's a very good question and a fair question coming from Retro is actually one of my friend and
Oh.
player. That guy went to my
Oh, you've
wedding.
been
Like he was
outed.
one of my good. He was one of my best men. Like okay,
Stitches get
so
stitches.
Right
I
now,
did.
I have my Fari. I have Fari.app in my exemption on my cookie clearing. That's how I've gotten around it.
Okay,
Hey,
so
look at
to,
that.
to add to add more details to that, if you clear your cookies, Fari is going to do fine. So Fari does not store information inside your cookies, or if it store information there, it's not information that is valuable.
Okay.
Okay, so you can clear them, right?
Okay.
But Fari uses something called the local storage. So it's saved inside your browser storage. So if you uninstall your browser, the information is going to get deleted with it. If you, for example, go inside your browser and you go inside the section to clear your cookies, there's going to be a checkbox that's going to say, do you want to clear your local storage?
Is that
Don't
also
check.
called your cache? Is that the same thing?
No, it's going to be something else.
Okay,
So
just making sure. I
Hey,
don't
that
know.
I don't know. It's just like
I
you
know that's
just
something
go.
to check. It's gonna checkbox
the,
there.
the, the cache is going to be for things like the files that Fari, if you clear the cache, basically what the browser is going to do is it's going to like download the new files from the Fari servers, basically, but like your information is
Okay.
still there, right?
Okay.
So
Oh,
your data
Okay,
is
then.
relatively secure.
okay. Just don't
Right.
hit the box when you clear the
Okay.
the the,
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
str-
Don't clear
the
your
local
local storage,
storage. Yeah.
guys,
Don't clear the
Okay.
storage.
because right now a server's not gonna happen. Private
Yeah.
server
So.
not
Yeah,
gonna happen.
well, it's I've thought about it a lot, and it's also something that comes up often for multiple reasons. First of all, persistence, right? It's cool to just be able to load your data on your phone and then go on your like laptop or your computer, load your
Right,
data
because
over
it's gonna
there.
be like browser specific.
Indeed. Yeah. So not adding this persistence is not fun, which is why I've worked on adding export and import
Yeah.
functionality, right? And adding
Sure.
like this I've worked on adding a new page where you can actually export and import in bulk, which will facilitate this process, but it's still not saved in the server. The other thing is being able to. There's been some. I'm using a technology called Sweber TC. No, whatever. I'm using something to be able to make the players and the GM communicate together, and sometimes it's not always perfect. There's are better technologies out there to be able to do that, which are going to make the connections more stable. But the thing is, those things are pricey. Like
Yeah.
Okay.
one thing,
Okay.
what Fari doesn't have a server. It's entirely like a what we call a front end application. But when you communicate from one player to another, or for the GM to all the players, it's all going from peer to peer. It's peer to peer communication, right? So
Okay.
it doesn't go through a server. So for that reason, that's been really cool because I didn't have to pay for servers, right?
Yeah.
So that
Yeah. Yeah.
so that helps a lot. I don't have to pay for
So.
databases and storing all
And
the
that means
data.
Fari can stay free for its users.
Yeah, but like you said, like if I start having a server and having to manage that server, and having to manage the data inside the database, having backups, and then having to manage also real-time connections and all the data that goes between all the players, that starts adding up and it
Yeah.
starts costing a lot. I've actually sent some emails to some companies like, "Hey, I'm an open source program. How much would you charge me if I like,
Coupons,
yeah, can I have
discounts.
coupons, discounts?" And it's like, no, like, okay, how much will it cost me? Oh, more than $1,000 a year. It's like, okay,
Oh my
I'm not,
gosh.
I'm not
No.
sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, RP, I am perfectly fine downloading and then importing my character
Yeah.
sheets to
So
keep
yes,
Fari
that's fine.
the way that it
Yeah,
is.
it's fine. Just maybe in the future, like if you want to make it free and have people download, maybe like a full feature of download everything, like have a button that downloads everything in one
Download
go,
all.
and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
import all that. Something like that.
And then it just overwrites.
Yeah, it just overrides
Oh,
whatever you have.
overwriting.
Well, it's there.
That would be tricky. That would be
The
tricky.
beta is there. The beta has this feature.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, there you go. All
So
right, cool.
all right.
so there's
Yeah,
a routes like slash data, and then you can export and re-import everything if you want it.
Oh, cool.
yeah. Let me see. Do we have any more questions from the public? From the public?
We got 12 viewers. Any
You
of
guys
y'all want to
have any
speak up?
questions? If
Any
not, we're gonna
questions?
keep talking because
That's what we do.
that's what we do, and we're
And
gonna
by we mean Ghost.
yes. Well, what? No, actually, our talker is not with us today. Axel, he's the one that
That's
actually
true.
he is
That's
our
true.
we have him nicknamed as the Velociraptor,
Okay.
because he likes to talk. It's good. Uh, he talks. We like to talk philosophy about RPGs. It's all about theorizing, but never actually playing.
Okay. What is your favorite game that you have
uh,
played? Not system, but
yeah.
game.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, system's too broad.
System's probably Fate, I would say.
Oh, I'm talking to RP.
That's what I'm saying. Fate. I'm probably saying.
Yeah, I figured it would
Yeah.
be Fate. That's why I wasn't just gonna say what's your favorite game? System.
Yeah, I haven't played a lot. Like I said, like you, I've only played for a year and a half to almost 2 years now. But like I'm still very new to this hobby. But I would say I think, can I go about my favorite session?
Yeah, totally.
Okay,
It all
Sure.
counts.
it
It all
counts.
Sure.
Okay,
counts.
so I played with I have a group where we play Fate with inside the Avatar universe, Avatar: The Last Airbender,
Oh, cool.
Okay. Yeah.
and
Yeah. There's a new one coming out actually. There's an actual official one coming out by Magpie Games. So there you go.
yeah,
All
you're
right.
totally right.
We're not getting paid, so just throwing it out there. Okay. But
And
just thought I
I
should
think
mention
it's
it.
powered by the Apocalypse, if I
I
remember.
don't know. I think it is because most of the like 90% of their games are powered by the apocalypse, so it might be. But yeah, it's I've seen it done in Fate. I've seen it done in Cortex. I've seen it done in Genesis. I've seen it done in several systems. So yeah.
But yeah, I would say I'm a really big fan of this universe in general.
Yeah.
Every time I
Yeah.
get sick, like I'm gonna spend my entire day on the couch sneezing and like rewatching Avatar:
Uh,
Religion of Korra
It's
again.
that
really good.
sounds like a legit way to spend a sick day. Yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. No,
But yeah,
no
one
judgment.
no judge. But one day we had like a session, and I was like, oh, I'm sure the players like I'm still a new GM too, right? Like I love GMing, but I'm still like, oh, I'm gonna plan this, and then the players are probably going to do this and do this and do this, and then they did nothing of it. Um,
Exactly. That's the way
Yeah.
it goes.
So no good
Wait,
plan survives contact with the players.
that's true.
That's the
yeah,
thing.
and that's something I learned in that particular session, because when we played, I planned a bunch of things, and then the player basically spent 3 real life hours inside the headquarters talking to like
People.
NPCs.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
NPCs that you had to play exhaustively.
I
It's
would.
exhausting. Like
I.
y'all go talk to each other. That's what y'all are there for. Don't talk to me. I'm just
Don't
here
role
to
play.
watch.
Don't role play with the game. Role play with each other.
Yes. That's
So I learned that early in my short gaming career, right? That planning is just yeah. Savvy knows it's just being a player in my games. She knows that I don't plan at all. Um, but just my suggestion is just a piece of advice. Have a beginning, right, where the session starts. Have a visualize a possible ending or something you want to happen maybe,
Then throw it in
and
the trash.
no, don't throw it in the trash. Everything in between, just let it happen. Everything in between, just let it happen. If they come up with weird ideas like, hey, I want to turn into a dragon because I'm a druid and I want to fight that dragon, let it happen. Like Savvy
Yeah.
did. Just let it
I
happen.
did that.
Oh,
And
you did that?
yeah, she did that. We play a fantasy. It's like we need to get this dragon into that hole so we can save the world. And she's like, I'm gonna turn into a dragon. I'm like, well, you can't really because
I
it's in
had
the
a
air. You need to.
special move. I had
Yeah,
a special move.
yeah. So every other play was like, okay, I'll help you. Sorcerer came up with like some gravity thing magic and held the dragon in the ground. We had the monk lasso it like a horse. We had the paladin stab it on the side to keep it from flying up, and then she studied it for a couple of seconds, then turned to a dragon, and they fought in the air and all that stuff. Yeah, it was great. In one
It's awesome.
session, by the way. That was all one session.
It
Yeah.
was it was great.
It seemed like an epic session, if you tell
Oh,
me.
It
it
was
was. Oh, it was.
awesome.
It was.
It was my
With,
first. It was my first go in Cortex.
yeah, that was a Cortex. The first Cortex game that I ran for
I
Savvy
had
and the
no
guys.
clue what
Yeah.
I was doing.
Yeah.
I just pressed the buttons.
You
We do
had
have,
cool ideas.
yeah.
That's all you need.
And
That's
I'm
all you
all
need.
about the narrative, so
Yeah. Okay.
we have two
Uh,
more questions. By
yes.
the way,
So your
whenever you
friend
wanna
actually
get
has more
them.
questions.
Oh.
I'll say the first one.
Okay.
Do you plan any premium or paid features or something? With the emphasis on the something.
On the something.
I'm just kidding.
Not for now. I don't really want to like put any paywall in front of Fari because I like I said, community is important to me. So I want people to know that they can contribute to any part of the app. If they're good at writing documentation, they could help me write it. Like it takes a lot of time, like you said. So I'll gladly, if there's anyone who wants to help me with that, I'll take it. If there's anyone who wants to help with
Mm-hmm.
translations, I'll take it, right? But so that thing is really important to me. So because of that, I don't really want to put a paywall. I don't want to
So
like have
I,
hidden features.
yeah, I think at that point you're probably, if that is your thoughts and what you feel, I don't think you should then have the server stuff. I don't think you should do that. If that is what you feel, right? If that is your philosophy behind Fari, then my honest opinion, don't do it. Um, and but
Because
yeah,
we'll make do. It
we'll
works
make
the way
do.
that it is.
We
It's
we
fine.
have we as GMs. Hey, somebody said it already works on mobile. A Muzzy. I'm sorry, I probably butchered that, but yeah. So we as GM, we complain that we have to plan, we have to create a lot of things, right? So people spend hours home ruling a game or home brewing a game or house ruling. That's Jesus Christ. That's what I wanted to say. They spend hours house ruling a game and they can't they don't spend hours trying to create a character sheet. I don't understand. But that's just me. All right. So next question. I'll take that one. Do you also plan having some kind of note taking or something to help with campaign follow up? Basically, just a campaign management system.
Like a
I
little
guess.
journal or something. I could see the use for that. That would be helpful. What do you
Yeah,
think?
I'm personally taking all my notes inside Notion, which is
Hey,
very nice.
Notion. Notion is
Yep.
It's a
awesome.
good
I do the
app.
same thing.
It's awesome. I do too. Whatever notes I write. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah.
But I think that could be a great idea. Right now inside scenes, there's a notes section where you can
Yeah.
like add notes to scenes, but there isn't really a good way to do campaign management right now, right? There's groups. I
Yeah.
added groups where you can group scenes together and group characters get together, but it's still not like
Comprehensive.
yeah, it's like, oh, that's a low hanging fruit. You can group things together, but that's not perfect, really.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's also something that I would love to work on, like having a way where you can like, okay, I want to create a campaign, and inside that campaign, I want to split that into like arcs, and inside my arcs, I want to plan my scenes, right? And then inside, like, you create all your scenes, you organize them, you like do whatever you want with them, and then like being able to take that campaign and say, I want to play
And then
and
just click it and it's there.
Yeah.
yeah, it loads like the latest scene or the latest arc you played or something, and it just boom starts right in, right? So
That would be
Okay.
amazing.
being able to mix things up between like
Sounds
campaign
like sounds
management
like a
and like
lot of work.
actually play.
That does sound like a
Yeah.
lot of work.
Like a lot of work. So props to you. Yeah, I will definitely keep my Patreon for that, so that way you can work on that.
That's
Um,
very appreciated.
yeah,
So
it's awesome.
the next question: what about NPC
You have to read it.
generation?
There
I
you
did,
go.
but generation. Sorry, Knight. I couldn't help myself. Uh, NPC generation.
I was gonna read it, but I was like, I can't even like read, like actually read it. So, yeah. All
So
right.
what would In which sense? Like
And I think he means in the sense of, okay. I think he means in the sense of hmm it just depends because there's so many different parts of NPC
So
generation. There's the name, there's
I'm gonna I'm gonna I'm
the
gonna I'm gonna
traits.
I'm gonna say something on that. So honestly, there are a lot of free tools out there that already do that, right? It would be great to have it. Literally, you can just roll an NPC, click on a button, and it will tell you, pre-generated NPCs. That's a little different because it depends on the system and all that stuff. But you can build one with
That would be
stories.
tough.
There's tools that already do that. So I would say, if possible, I don't know. This is me talking out of my behind. Um, Maybe have integration with other tools that are already free out there that are open source and where you can pull that information from them. If I don't know if that's even, I'm just talking
Even
out of
possible,
my
yeah.
ass.
He
Yeah, I
doesn't
don't know.
code.
I don't know.
He doesn't know.
No, no,
Yeah,
no, but like it can be interesting. Like if there are tools available out there. I know
there is a
there's
lot of
someone.
tools out there. There is a lot of them.
Yeah,
There are
and if the
some.
code is
The code is free.
so,
Yeah, you say.
no, please go ahead.
No, no, I'm just saying if the code is free, is that what you were gonna say or not?
Yeah, like if it's like properly like free and licensed like properly, then I
Okay.
could probably integrate inside the app. I know someone made a very nice story generated using like cheap like dice with just images on it. So you
Yep.
roll dice and then it's just a
Hmm.
bunch of images and it's like okay, you need to tell a story from those dice. So I know
Yeah.
there's an app on GitHub that does that, and I
Hmm.
contacted the owner of this app and I was like, hey, can I integrate inside Fari? And the owner was like, yeah, you can do it. So I
That's
think the
awesome.
open source community
That's
would be
awesome.
very
Are the
open
images
about it.
from gamesicon.net?
Yeah, they are.
Yes. Yes. Okay. That's a cool website. It's kind of
It
like
is.
the Rory's story cube, but with
Yeah.
like thousands and thousands of items. Yeah, it's great. Um,
Larian, what did you personally mean by generation?
I mean, yes, we're assuming
Generation.
we're
Yeah, because in my mind, because I use NPC generators for my games,
Mhm.
but it is like very system specific, and you're gonna
Mhm.
have different systems that will require different things for different NPCs. That it would be borderline impossible to have a
for
single
each
generator.
system. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
also for all the
that would be a lot
systems
of
and
work.
universes, right? Like, what if you're doing like a
Exactly. Yeah.
cyberpunk story versus like I fantasy?
Yeah.
Like the you need to pick, I guess, some sort of setting to be able to have like something that makes sense
Yeah.
within that universe.
Yeah, and as
And
far as I know, I've looked at like name generators and none of those are free. Like you cannot take that code. It's theft. Um
Oh,
that,
okay.
I mean, I haven't personally tried to do that. I've just like read different stuff because I it's nice to have everything in one spot, but sometimes
it
it's just not
is, it is,
doable.
it is
It's
nice.
it's a lot of work.
But I think when people play games right nowadays, if they're using a VTT, they're using a voice thing, they're using Notion, they're using stuff. People use even when we were actually playing face to face, people were
Just
using
paper.
more just paper. They were using more than one thing. I had a notebook for when I wrote my things, NPCs or whatever. I had a piece of paper, and I was like doing, like I said, X's and O's for things, and I had like my tablet for the rules for the PDF. So we still use a bunch of things when we play, right? Um, so I don't know if doing that is actually putting all things into one single tool. I think a lot of I've heard the phrase, um, what was it? Good at everything but master at none, right?
Yeah, jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades, master of none. So, uh, a lot of the tools that are already out there, that's what they are, and they focus on some specific things, and but when they focus on those things, they do those things very very well, but then the others are kind of like meh. We just have them there just in case you want to use them, right? Um, and so
Yeah.
I think Fari is a great tool as it is. I mean, you could put some of the things better, but I don't think it should lose what it was meant to do, what it was
Yeah.
designed to do. And if you start adding a lot of things, then it could lose its way, its purpose. you're gonna get all
It's
fucked
also
up there.
more code to maintain on my end, so it's
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, the
Yeah,
bigger it
you're
gets, the more you have
one
to
man,
do.
one person team. That's all you are right now, right? Or no, yeah. So,
And
um,
then something breaks, and then you got to go through all that code and figure out where the missing semicolon is. It's
That's
the life of a
basically it.
developer.
I've got a lot of automated tools that help me with this. Like there's like things like unit testing and end-to-end testing that I've integrated inside the app because I'm not able to test all the single features I have every single time I make a
Right.
modification. So I have automation to help me with that. But yeah, it's like I agree with you guys that like when things are spread too thin, the quality isn't there anymore. So I
yeah,
agree. Like Fari will stay focused. That's for sure. I want to keep the basically what I'm trying to do is keep the initial experience simple, but having like basically toggles or advanced feature like the advanced mode in the character sheet that gives more flexibility.
mhm.
But in terms to come back to like NPC generation quickly, I don't think that's something that's going to come. That's not something that I was thinking about. Though there's a hidden surprise. I don't want to talk about it now, but
That's
in the
fine.
release,
That's fine. That's totally fine.
um,
You can tell us off the air. How about that?
yeah, that I can do. That I can do. In the next release, I've collaborated with some people within the fake community, and Fari is going to contain some sort of like compendium of some sort, which I think is going to be pretty useful for any GMs, D&D, Fate, Cortex, whatever. So stay tuned for this. I don't know exactly when the release is going to go live, but
Just
like
tomorrow. Just do
you
it
can,
tomorrow. Be like, meh, well, yeah,
yeah,
Do
just
whatever.
it
Do it
just
tomorrow. Just
tomorrow.
do it tomorrow.
You
Just do
don't
it
have to
tomorrow.
wait till Monday. No,
oh
no offense to the people who want Monday, but you don't have to wait till Monday.
Yeah. So that
Monday is an
way,
arbitrary day.
so
Days are
that way, when
arbitrary.
they play break it, then by next week, so technically you re-release it on Monday,
This
and
could be
then
playtesting weekend.
yeah, there you go.
it,
All right.
it, it could,
Come
but
on.
yeah, when I release it, I'll probably going to be in front of my computer and be okay. Is there something broken? But
Yeah.
this weekend's not going to do it. I have to do renovations in my basement, so
Oh,
that's
dang it. Darn real
Man,
life.
man, real
not
life.
real life.
Yeah.
There are a couple more questions on here. Um, Maybe a plugin system so it can support tooling to inject stuff in scenes.
That sounds way too complicated.
Whatever
That
that
question,
means to
whatever that means.
you,
Uh,
I don't know. We'll get we'll get back to you on that. Um, the other one, in the long run, 2 to 3 years, so just broaden your horizons there. Would you consider implementing a playlist option for shared music or like background ambient noise?
I like this kind of goes
Excuse me.
inside this. No worries. It kind of goes inside the same bucket as like video or audio streaming, right? Like being able to stream media for all players and sync everything together. There's a lot
Yeah.
of complications to doing that. For example, Discord is trying to do it, but for example, if your music plays for I think more than 30 seconds or something, they cut the stream because they think that you're like publicizing the music for free on Discord and
Yeah.
like without people not being like Spotify
It's like
subscribers and things like that.
pirating or whatever.
Yeah, so you'd have to like have this free sound bank that people could use, and then you need to be able to stream it to everyone and keep it
And
in
who would be monitoring and getting all the sounds for the sound bank
and storing them as
and
well, right?
storing
Like
them is you. That would be your job because you can't just let people go download YouTube music and then
Yup.
upload it
yeah.
on
Mhm.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
lots of copyright stuff. And also I don't know if Roll20's tried to do the music thing. Foundry has
Yeah.
attempted the
Yeah.
music thing and
Well,
it's
S-
completely broken. And
So
I
so
don't
Roll
know.
20 does have they have like deals with certain soundscape companies or whatever, and there you can have songs, you can have I forgot what the names are, but you can have like effects and songs and background music, ambient music, theme music, for different styles, different genres and stuff. But it's because they made a deal with the company that makes those sounds.
And then you have
Since
to have a server to store the sounds
Yeah.
and then
yes, we
upload
do.
them to the games.
Hmm.
And that's I could see where that would just be so tricky to do. Like I would just tell them, go
I
everybody
was
listen to this playlist on Spotify. Keep it at
yeah.
Yeah.
that.
I
We
would
we
even just I would just sing and just be like, yeah, just I just hum the music and like,
It's
yeah,
like da da da
but you're
da
not
da
just
da.
imagine this song and just hum for like 5 seconds and then just repeat that in your mind while I do what I need to do and that's fine. Here you go, done.
I mean,
Uh,
back in the days of pre-COVID, we could just turn on our
Yeah.
phone and there's your
yes,
ambience.
yes.
And I have yet to find a way to do that. The most popular way to do it on Discord is with a little bot called Craig, but unfortunately everybody knows about Craig. And so the server is like completely overloaded,
Oh
and so that
no.
doesn't even work anymore. And any other music thing I've tried isn't the greatest.
No,
Yeah.
they're not. They have their limitations, right? But
But
Yeah.
I think Spotify came up with something like called Spotify groups, which I think it's not released on their desktop app, but it works on mobile, where you can like create a group and then people can kind of like scan a code and they're all inside the same session and they
oh,
can
it's like a
like
watch
So
party but music.
yeah, yeah.
Hey,
that's
that's
cool.
actually pretty cool.
I'm gonna
That
look
is
that up.
actually pretty cool. Yeah.
So like,
You
but yeah, I'm doing the same thing as you two. Like when in our last Fate of Cthulhu session, I was asking one of my friends, "What are you listening to?" He's like, "The Dark Souls soundtrack. Perfect. That's what I'm gonna listen to."
Yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of if you go like a Spotify, you go hunting on YouTube and Spotify, you can find like playlists of a lot of these things. You know, you can play like RPG playlists, like RPG fantasy or like RPG cyberpunk or whatever. So
Yeah,
those
there's
are
tons of
there's
really
tons of
nice
music.
resources.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So any I'm gonna throw it out there again. Any more questions, Savvy? Any questions?
No, I just wanted to say that I am very happy that I was introduced to Fari because finding a
She
finding finding a VTT that does not drive me insane and is not super heavy or like super heavy to look at. Like
hmm
Fari is just simple and
yeah.
straightforward
So
and easy,
and
and that's
and
why I like it.
and and
Thank you.
she means it because she said the same thing when I introduced her to Cortex. So
Yeah, that's the
yeah,
exact same thing I'd said about Cortex. So
yeah.
those things are grouped together. You know that things are pretty good for me over here.
So uh so
Let's
the
let's shout out oh sorry, we're not done yet.
oh no, yeah, you want to shout out, yeah, just shout out whatever
I
you
wanted to
just
shout out I wanted you to give us your Patreon address so that
oh
all you
hey
people listening can go throw some cash at RP so that he can keep up our amazing his amazing work.
yes
Yeah,
What
I
is
can.
that?
Yeah, so on Patreon it's slash Fari.app FRRIAPP.
Wait, I
Uh,
can't spell. I'm tipsy. Patreon.com/, what?
Fari app,
all right
App. Is that it?
and yeah, that's it.
Oh,
that's it, here
there you
you
All
go.
in one
go,
word.
Go
hey,
there
all right,
and
go
go
there,
give him some support. And then I'm
yes,
also going to paste a link to his Discord because RP is amazing at listening to complete strangers
Yeah.
whine about the stuff that they
yes.
want in
So
his, and by that I mean like I was whining. I would come to Ghost. I'm like, oh, I wish Fari supported more dice,
and then I'm
and he's
like,
like,
all
oh, we
right,
should ask
let
him. I
me
was
ask
like, I
him.
don't know if I want to ask him. I don't know if that's too
I was like,
much.
I'll do it,
So
whatever. And I
yeah,
asked
so
him,
he did.
and
It's so funny because like you say that and then like when like inside my house I go to my wife and I'm like, oh, someone just asked me a feature or someone just joined my server and I'm all excited like a child.
yeah, that's how we feel when people join our server when they follow us here on Twitch. Yeah, thank you um for actually granting us the opportunity to interview you as our guest today and our very first
Yeah,
guest. So
very first guest
Well, very
for
yeah,
first interview,
Axio.
so
there
That's
you
so
you
sad.
go. I would say this was a success. Thank you very much for what you do, for what you're doing, and for the hobby, for the community, for us, because I know we had a little bit of a say in some of those things. So just for what do you say when you I forget what I was gonna say with that. But I think the adult
Thank
beverage
you.
is coming it's
Thank
coming
you.
along. But yeah, thank you for everything, for the app, for the server, for being part of the community, for interacting. Even though you created this thing and you don't have that much experience in the I'm gonna say experience 'cause experience is relative in this hobby, but so much time in the hobby, right? That's and you're able to create this awesome tool that we get to use for free, which is it's great. Um,
Well, that's
and
why
we
I'm
will
listening
use it.
to all of you. Right? So, sorry, guys.
So yeah, so to finish this off, we are actually planning some campaigns to be live streamed in our channel using Fari. We're figuring out the technical difficulties of trying to get this square, trying to figure out the results to make sure that they're seen, because Savvy's using PBTA, so that's really easy to
Easy
but
peasy.
for me, it's
Just add them
Cortex.
together.
Yeah,
It's good.
yeah. For me, it's Cortex, so I have to figure out a way that I can hover over the results and it shows the dies. So, because you want to see the different what each die has, what the result of each die. So right now there is none of that, and I think you don't plan on doing that, which is fine. It's
Oh
just a
yeah, yeah, it's
way.
included in the next release. The next release, like when you roll a dice, the entire result is going to show up inside the rows on the
Oh
left.
yes. Okay. Awesome. All right. So scratch that. I will figure out a way how to do it with Savvy so she can have her game and I'll have mine. And uh, yeah, I like that. Like so, Gretro is like, oh, the next release has everything. Yes.
It's true.
It is true. It is true. I would like to thank everybody for tuning in. Oh my God, like
And
we're on TV. Um,
and RP, do you have any parting words?
yes, yes.
um,
Your
well,
fans, all 17 of them.
all 17. Well, mostly thank you so much for having me. First interview. This is so humbling. Like I really was excited like a child just before coming up, talking with you. It's truly been wonderful. So mostly thank you for your time. Please continue to contribute to Fari in any ways you can. You two have been wonderful so far. So please continue. And if there's anyone listening to this, like just do the same thing. Just do what you can. And like if what you can is just like providing feedback, I'm always going to listen because that's what Fari is a
Yeah.
community. So
Awesome.
Well, thank
Awesome.
you,
Thank you.
RP.
Thank you.
That was
Thank you very
great.
much.
Really appreciate you coming on. It's been fun.
It was fun. It was fun. Thank you everybody for showing up. We've a little bit over an hour.
Eh.
But it's all right. It was
Yeah,
awesome. It was
Axio's not here.
yeah. He's not. He's the
Say I
one
gotta
that
go to
says,
bed.
oh, I gotta go,
Yeah.
and it's like
Gotta go to bed.
you and your real life. But yeah, thank you everybody for joining though. For reals, it's great having so many people interact in the chat. That was awesome. I did not expect the turnout. Honestly, I did not. And
But thanks. Thanks
thank
for coming. And please come next time too, even
yeah,
though RP will not be with us. Unless he wants to
yeah,
be.
yeah.
well,
Unless he wants to be
if
part of
I
the.
get an invitation,
Yeah, we might
Awesome.
even come in to just bring you in, not to talk about Fari, but just to talk about
Yeah.
whatever we're gonna talk about that day.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
just talk about everything.
we talk
It's
about
fine.
everything. Sometimes we just say, "Hey, what are we gonna talk about today?" I was like, "I don't know. What do you want to talk about?" I don't know. And then we just come up with the thing on the spot, and
The,
it just
we
happens.
just keep saying I
Yeah.
don't know until it's been an hour and then we're done.
it
Yeah.
seems like a nice evening. But if that happens, I'll definitely get something else than water this time.
Yes. Yes.
No, yes, bring more than water.
Yeah. We
Bring
get a little bit of
bring more.
stuff. It's just to relax us a little bit and just make it fun and we don't want to have a script. Hey, what do you want to do this? Hey, what about this now? We don't want to do that. We want to be as natural as possible and just talk because that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk. We're gonna make jokes, and it's gonna be great. I'm talking too much. All right. So thank you again for joining us, RP.
Thank you.
It's been great, and thank you everybody over and in Twitch land for joining us. You have a good night or good
Good
morning,
night,
wherever you are.
morning, afternoon, anytime.
All right, thank you for joining us. Bye bye.
See y'all.
See ya.
See.
Bye.
Bye bye.